Is it better to fly at a controlled airport versus an uncontrolled airport? Let me give you some pros and cons of each of them. Me, myself, I've actually trained at both types of airports in my career. I started off training at a controlled airport, and then later on I switched to an uncontrolled airport. Let's talk about some of the pros and cons of flying at a controlled airport. When you fly at a controlled airport, the pros is that you're flying at usually much bigger airports. There's a reason why it's a controlled airport. Maybe you have a big airline that flies in and out of there, so you can see all these big cool airplanes flying in. You also have the ability to talk to air traffic control and practice communicating with the controller. You also have some more situational awareness because the controller is looking out for you and looking out for the other airplane to make sure you both, don't collide. They're helping and assisting you with that. You also get to experience to fly into busy airspace in Canada. So something you can put on your resume that you are used to flying into busy airspace. Now, on the other hand, if you fly into an uncontrolled airport, some of the pros is that you can get to where you're going much sooner because you don't have to wait in long lineups at big busy airports. You can get to the practice area much sooner. You can get back much sooner. That'll save you a whole bunch of time. When you get to the practice area sooner, you have much more time to practice with your flight instructor, and that same 1.5 hour of airtime that you have with your instructor in a controlled airport is nowhere close to the amount of work you can get in an uncontrolled airport, because the faster you get to the practice area, you have more time to do upper air work, you have more quality of instruction time, and you don't have to wait a whole bunch of minutes behind another aircraft. Now let's look at some of the cons of both. The obvious cons of an uncontrolled airport is that it's uncontrolled. So you're going to have a lot of aircraft usually overhead in the circuit, and you have to be really good at see and be seen, and that's what VFR flying is, visual flight rules. You must see the other aircraft, you must also be seen, and that comes with you communicating on the air traffic frequency, your position. And unfortunately, sometimes what has happened in the past is where it's been so busy in the circuit that there's some near misses in flight because maybe one pilot has maybe a thick accent, you do not know where he or she is in the circuit, or maybe you were tired, or the sun is at a certain angle on the horizon, you do not see the other pilot. I've come very close in my career as a student pilot flying overhead in circuit. So that traffic issue and the risk of having a close call with another aircraft is much higher at an uncontrolled airport. Some of the cons at a controlled airport would again be the cost of your flight training. I've had it where at a controlled airport, when I was doing my multi-engine rating, which is the most expensive rating you can do in your flying career, you're looking at $350 per hour, where I've had it where I spent nearly half, if not more than half of the flight just waiting in line taxiing number 15 for takeoff, because that was a busy airport. We had WestJet taking off, we had Bearskin taking off, and a whole bunch of other corporate jets taking off before me. And by the time I got airborne, I had already finished half the flight, and it was quite expensive. Also, at a controlled airport, you normally have to fly quite a ways away past your control zone into the practice area to get any useful upper air work completed. Even if you're just staying in the circuit, you have to wait your turn for other aircraft to land. Usually controllers give priority to commercial air operations. All the airlines, they don't fly in the circuit pattern. They usually just come straight in for landing. It could be a long straight and final, so you're waiting for them to land. So ideally, you train at both different airports. You see what works for you. And if I were to choose between an airport that is an uncontrolled airport or a controlled airport, I would choose personally an uncontrolled airport. But what trumps that, in my opinion, is an airport that's the closest to my house. I'm not driving an extra hour just to get to an uncontrolled airport if a controlled airport is much closer to my home. You always want to make your flight training very convenient and easy for you. So if a controlled airport is something that's closer to my home, I would pick that first. Hopefully this video helps you and helps you in your decision, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.